In Berlin town lived a rich merchant who had two sons and one daughter dear. By day and night they were so deluded, they filled their sister's heart with fear. One night of restless slumber, this brother rose up from his bed. He heard a servant court his sister. He heard they had a mind to wed. He told his secret unto no other, but to his brother he told it too. I'll put an end to all their courting, I'll send him silent to his doom. They early rose the very next morning, a-hunting through the woods they go, and there they did this young man murder. In the bramble briar his body they throw. Dear brothers, brothers, why do you whisper? Pray what's become of that serving man? We've lost him where we've been a-hunting, we've lost him where he'll never be found. She went to bed a-crying and lamenting for her own true love. She slept, she dreamed she had him by her, covered all over in a gore of blood. Don't weep for me, my own dear jewel. Don't weep for me, nor don't you pine. 'Twas your two brothers did treat me cruel. In the bramble briar my body you'll find. She early rose the very next morning, a-hunting through the woods did go, and there she found her own dear jewel, in the bramble briar where his body was thrown. She pulled a handkerchief from her pocket to wipe his eyes that he could not see, and all to keep him from the sun, she plucked the green leaves off the tree. 3 days and nights she did stay by him. She thought her heart would break with woe. Now cruel hunger creeps upon me, and along with you in the grave I'll go. 3 days and nights she did stay by him. She thought her heart would break with woe. Now cruel hunger creeps upon me, and along with you in death I'll go.
About the Bramble Briar and anything?
Well, I don't know very much about the Bramble Briar, really. It is a song which my father had, but he didn't know 1 or 2 of the verses, and I've since seen 1 or 2 of the verses in print, learned them from that. but people say that it's a song made out of a story of Boccaccio. I don't know if that's so, or whether it's just merely that the two narratives happen to coincide.
Where did your father get his songs, Bert, on home?
Well, he was born, spent most of his childhood in Lincolnshire, in Barton on Humber, and he learned a lot of songs there. But he was always a fellow moved around a lot. It's hard to say whether which of his songs actually came from East Anglia, which didn't. I think most of them really came from East Anglia because he most of his childhood his parents spent moving around Lincolnshire and Suffolk, and then he worked in trawlers with fellows from Lincolnshire and Yorkshire and so
What
on.
was his grandfather?
He was a farm labourer's grandfather, and he most of his young days he spent as a trawler hand, and then he came to London and got married to my mother, and he was a dock worker in London, and then he had an accident, and with his compensation money he bought himself a poultry farm in Sussex, and one or two of the songs came into the family from Sussex in a rather curious way. My mother was she was very interested in singing, and she knew songs like Barbara Allen and Bailiff's Daughter and those, but she liked to sing them rather straight. She was a London girl, and for a time she worked as a housemaid for some millionaires, and they gave her a sentiment for culture, and so she always liked to be rather fine if she could, and this was rather serious in our family because if my father had visitors in, especially if he got a little tight, he used to like to sing, and my mother was always afraid of him singing countryside because it seemed so common, you see, and she used to tamp him down a bit. Well, this has some bearing on what I'm going to say about the Sussex songs. My father's poultry farm was in a place called Crossbush, in the Arundel district, and there are a number of gypsies around the neighbourhood, and they used to come up the street sometimes selling feather dusters and that and singing, you see. And my mother hated gypsies. They represented all that she thought was most reprehensible. And so she knew a lot of their songs, and she used to reproduce them in good gypsy manner because she thought it was to make fun of them, you see. She used to like to do this, and she did it really with very little parody. She used to feel that little parody was needed. And so there's a lot of the songs that, of course, this all happened when I was 4 or 5 years old, and I never learned any of these songs from these, directly from these gypsies. Of course, I was too young. But a lot of them stayed in the family because when my mother wanted to have a game, she used to sing like the gypsies had sung.
Did you basically get your singing style from your mother's imitation to the gypsies then?
Oh no, much more from my father.
Mm-hmm.
Much more from my father. The gypsies, at least as my mother used to reproduce the gypsies, they used to sing a bit differently from that, much wilder really.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the songs, I can't remember many of those gypsy songs. Now most of them were religious,
Mm-hmm.
but not like ordinary hymns at all. Like there's one called Christ Made a Ransom, and another one, a sort of ballad about the sort of life of Jesus Christ, or at least the betrayal of Jesus Christ, really, from when he was arrested in the garden onwards. But as far as style goes, I learned much more from my father.
You never have.
I'm not sure that I can remember all the words of the ballad one. I have them. I have them at home because I used to know it rather well, but it's something that I haven't sung for many years, for 15 or 20 years, I suppose.
Why don't you sing one or two verses?
Yeah, I could sing one or two verses. I'm sure I could remember one or two verses of them. But I can remember much better the Christ Made a Ransom, which is much more exciting song, actually, than the ballad one.
Whichever you like to feel like beginning with, the Bramble Bush or either one. Doesn't matter.
All right, I'll begin the Bramble Bush then, the Bramble Briar.